Hey, this is Dustin from Birch Bark Scribe again, and we are continuing our segment on topographical maps. And in this segment, we're going to talk about contour lines. Now, in the last segment, we talked about how these funny brown lines were called contour lines, and that they were the backbone of a topographical map. And they really are, because without contour lines, we would not be able to give geographic features any size or shape to them. So as we look at this map here, we can see that there are actually heavier brown lines and then lighter ones in between. Now these heavier brown lines are called index lines. And if you follow them around far enough, you'll see that there's a number attached to each one. And that number is the distance, the vertical distance, between that point on the map and the average nearest sea level. So for this particular map, this is in New Hampshire. So it would be the Atlantic Ocean. And then these smaller lines in between are called intermediary lines. On your typical topo map, the distance between each one of these lines would be 20 vertical feet. And it's important that the vertical's in there, because really we're talking about distance from sea level. So vertical distance from sea level when we're talking about contour lines. And you can quickly see that, the more distance between these lines, which is called the contour interval, the more distance between these lines, the flatter the land is. So if I'm standing right here, well, I'll use right here instead. If I'm standing right here and I'm looking this way, it's going to be much flatter if I were to walk in this distance than if I were to go in this distance, because the contour lines are so close together in here, it's very steep. So there's a couple of things that contour lines can tell us. Obviously, it can tell us how flat the land is. It can tell us how steep the land is. But it can also tell us where the peaks of certain hills are, because it's going to be the highest contour line is going to be the peak. It will also tell us in which direction water flows. For example, if we were to look at this brook, we can tell, based on the contour lines, which direction the water is flowing, because contour lines will always point upstream. So if we look at these contour lines, we can see they're forming a V shape in this direction. So that means that this is the beginning of the stream, and it flows downhill and into Mountain Pond. So this is an inlet to Mountain Pond. On the contrary, if we were to scroll down here just a little bit and look at this, we can see that the contour lines, although they're very far apart, the contour line is pointing in this direction, which means that the water is flowing out of Mountain Pond and down in this direction. So that's it for contour lines. In our next segment, we're going to talk about man-made features. So stay tuned.